Okay. They can't make it easy. They can't make it simple, but they make it. Washington 22, Oregon State 20, comes down to the last couple minutes, comes down to the last couple plays. Uh it looked like it was going to be a relatively simple matter to close things out in the second half, and then the second half is just off the rails abysmal all the way around. So frustrating. Such little production on either side of the ball. And then you make a couple of plays at the end and it's just enough to get you over the finish line. And this is how we've been playing for a little while now, if we're being honest. This Huskies team has been kind of limping through these games, but they rise to the occasion just enough to win. Ever since Oregon, maybe you could even say ever since Arizona, this team does stupid things. This team makes it harder on themselves than it needs to be. This team gives you a heart attack. And then every time they win. And at a certain point, winning becomes a habit. And I feel like that's where we are right now. Just, it's become expected that we're going to find a way to win the game. Like tonight, the offense completely no-shows the entire second half. But then, when the game is still up in the air, they come through with a big first down to ice it. And this defense, which spends most of this game completely unable to tackle, mans up and comes up with that big stop at the end when it really, you couldn't help but feel like it was over. Like sitting there as a Huskies fan watching this play out, it really felt like this one was over. So, over and over and over again, they come through. And again, I think it's just kind of become a habit. Losing's a habit, winning can also be a habit. So, hey, 11-0 guaranteed a position in the Pac-12 championship game. I think it's already guaranteed we're playing Oregon. And after today, because of what happened with Jordan Travis, probably going to be ranked in the top 4. So, life's good. Life is good overall. And I do want to say my props to the way this team played in that first half. I thought the first half was better than I expected. When I saw how the weather was, I was really concerned about the way the game would start until the weather cleared up later. Didn't happen. So, on that part, the team did great. And I do want to give my props to Michael Penix Jr., who did not play a great game. People are going to look at the box score and say Michael Penix didn't really bring it. Michael Penix didn't play all that well. He left a lot to be desired and ultimately just wasn't really the Heisman winner that we've come to expect from his other games this year. He wasn't. But um overcoming these conditions, overcoming this defense, overcoming some of the really poor discipline of this team, which I'll talk about in a little bit here, I was impressed. Even though the numbers are not going to say he had a great game, he had to overcome so much in this game to come through to the degree that he did. And even though there were some bad throws, even though the second half was frustrating, even though there were some, he could have done better in a few areas, I got to give it up to him. And I got to give it up to Rome Odunze, who had a monster day in a game where the other receivers may as well have just sat on the sideline for 3 hours. Our other receivers in this game, McMillan and Polk, absolutely invisible. So Odunze had to carry it, and he did. He made every big play out there. He caught passes in driving, streaming, absolutely storm-like rain. So Rome Odunze is the man right now. I want to give it up to this offensive line. I think they did what they could for the most part. Penix was mostly clean in this game. Very little pressure on him. I have to also give my props to John Westover. I thought he made several big catches in this game. And even though he had the inexcusable fumble that still sticks in my craw, Dillon Johnson did what he could to make this offense balanced. It wasn't great, but it was good. And we just needed some balance in this game, and he provided it. So I understand that the fumble was killer. I understand that he wasn't exactly running roughshod over this defense, but he played a good game. I give him my props. And offensively, really, their main problem was in the second half, they barely ever got the ball. And some of that was because, yeah, they couldn't convert on a couple of third downs. They couldn't keep a drive alive, but they only had a couple opportunities to even have a drive to keep alive. So at the end of the day, I can't put that much on this offense. I think the offense did okay given the circumstances they were put in. So I give it up to those guys. The defense, we got to go into this for a little bit here because it was the defense that almost did this. Tackling, can we not tackle? Can we not tackle? Like, I understand if there's a lack of talent, which I don't even know if there is a lack of talent, to be perfectly honest. I don't even know if there really is a lack of actual talent here with these Huskies on defense. But even if there is, can we not tackle? Can we not just wrap up? How many yards after contact did the Beavers get tonight? They ran for over 200 yards. It felt like 150 of them were after contact. Shouldn't be that hard. Shouldn't be that bad. So that's not getting better is the thing. Penalties. I think we had double-digit penalties in this game. We jumped offsides 3 times. We had a pass interference on a ball the receiver was probably not catching anyway. We had holding calls all along the offensive line. That's back to the offense, but we had holding calls there. We were incredibly undisciplined, just all around. And it's time to say it. After 3 months plus of watching this team, those 2 things are not getting better. They are getting worse, if anything. The tackling and the penalties are getting worse. So I am going to have to comment on that. I am going to have to say what needs to be said about that. Because it's clearly just not fixable with the way this coaching staff and team is put together. And it's going to cost us eventually. This can't last forever. Like, tackling and discipline are 2 huge parts of a team. This isn't like, oh, we're not very good at running out routes on 4th and 32 when it's raining and there's a full moon. No. Tackling and discipline come up in every single game constantly. And if you're bad at those things, I don't think you can be the best team in the country. So, unfortunately, I have to conclude it's probably just not going to get better this year, and we're just going to have to get through without it. Maybe we can make the playoff. Maybe we can even win a playoff game. But hard for me to believe we can actually finish the job with our tackling and our penalty problems. So that continues to be a problem. So I will admit that the defense continues to frustrate. However, there were a lot of negative plays by the Oregon State offense in this game. So I will say that. For the first time this year, really, it felt like we were getting into the backfield and making plays, which that's big. In fact, for most of this game, it felt like we did a great job on first down. We would force 2nd and long, 3rd and long, and then we just couldn't quite finish the drive. We couldn't quite get off the field. So there were definitely some bright spots there, right? Muhammad played an amazing game. I'm sorry, I forget his first name. I think it's like Jafar. Jafar Muhammad was excellent out there. 2 interceptions, pass breakups, plays made in coverage. Muhammad had the game of his life. He looked awesome out there. So credit to him. Credit to Brunner for forcing that big fumble that completely flipped this game. If we don't get that fumble, I can't imagine us winning. Braylon Trice got a lot of pressure in this game. So I thought he played one of his better games of the year, and he's going up against a good offensive line for Oregon State. So, by the way, Jabbar, not Jafar. I don't know. Jabbar Muhammad. Awesome game. Let me get his name right because he played so well. He deserves it. And yeah, that's what I can say about this one. Like, we were all sitting here for a long time during the entire fourth quarter of this game, really convinced that something bad was about to happen. We were about to lose. We were about to blow it because the defense couldn't get off the field, because the offense couldn't stay on the field, because everything broke down in that second half. But they just barely kept those Beavers at arm's length. It was just enough. And I'm happy. I am so happy that we decided to make this season, the final season of the Huskies in the Pac 12, something special. And I don't know where it's going to end up. Like, the way Oregon is playing, Oregon looks like they're on a new level. Oregon has reached a new level since we beat them. So I don't know what's going to happen in that game. I don't know how to feel about that game, but you know what? We'll worry about that when we get to it. Right now, this team is 11-0. They have a guy who may win the Heisman. They have one of the best receivers in the country. They have one of the best offenses in the country. And winning has become a habit for them. That is the most important thing. Winning has become a habit. Because at the end of the game, by hook or by crook, they find a way to do it. All right. I'm done. I'm out of here. It was a great stream. We had a lot of fun. It was very stressful. I think we all were getting angry at one point. We were all getting negative at one point, but we pulled it together and the team got it done. See you guys later. Bow down to Washington. And 11-0 is all that really need be said at the moment.